should work. In. Good. How's that? Just how's that? Oh, that's better. Just how's that? Oh, that's better. Yes, good. Thanks, Karina. Yes, good. Thanks, Karina. Okay. Super. Hi, Erika. Hi, Tina. Now it's all good. Excellent. Nice to see you this morning. Welcome. Online welcome. And welcome here in the Shala. This morning I thought I would talk a little bit about patience. Maybe we all know how it feels not to have patience. And when it feels good when we do have patience. This morning trying to set up the online, I couldn't hear myself, and first few times I could feel myself being calm, relaxed. And then, as you tend to do, you project the problem outwards. It's your fault. I know, it's the apparatus's fault. It's Lucas's fault. It's not working. But it was all internalized, you know, and I could feel myself going, if it was a cartoon series, you know, I'd be on fire. But it was all internalized, and I thought there was a moment in me that thought, just pause and just take another moment. And then I realized it was the apparatus. I had the little thing the wrong way around, so people couldn't hear me. And so it's very interesting that when we're in the moment of not being happy or we're impatient, how easy it is to blame someone else. Maybe in some cases that is correct. But often it's good if we take a moment to look inside and go, maybe there's something that I'm missing that is my issue. I see some nods in the room, so maybe we understand this feeling. It's very easy to project you, it, they, as if they're the problem or it's the problem for our inability to be calm in the moment. And really the process of perhaps unraveling that is just by starting to realize that that's what's happening. We can't realize it's happening unless we pause and say, aha, there was that moment where I was trying to blame someone else for my feeling, for my suffering. So once I fixed it, I was like, I feel really good about myself now. And no one got hurt. I didn't call up Lucas and go, it's not about pain. And I didn't smash the computer. Everything stayed calm. And I was able to process it. And go, okay, just breathe. And we start fresh. So every moment we can start fresh. If we have a moment and we realize, we can always start fresh. Today's class, there'll be some arm balances, there'll be some handstands, and if you notice yourself feeling impatient about something, notice where you project the impatience. Is it projected to the class plan? Is it projected to me telling you to do a handstand? Is it projected to yourself, which is also harmful? It's not really helpful to say, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, I'll never get there, what's the point? Notice if these things come up. Recognize it. Don't push it away and say, oh, it's not there. Recognize it. Honor it. And then see if you can come with perhaps that insight into a new perspective, perhaps, with how you treat yourself on the mat. And how we treat ourselves on the mat is reflected, or we could say how we treat ourselves outside of the yoga mat is always reflected on the yoga mat too. It's not like yoga, our sacred space, is separate to our life. It mirrors a lot. So play with that today. Patience. My mum often told me, Kira, have some more patience, you know. And when you're told to have patience, what happens? You get more frustrated. I don't know if we're ever told to work with your impatience by just observing it. We're just told to have more patience, as if this is going to work. It's kind of little stabs in the body. But that's their issue, really. If someone tells you to have more patience, that's their story. You don't have to take that. Use it as a self-reflection. So, without further ado, we'll begin our practice this morning. We start to sit on our heels. If this is not fine for you, maybe a blanket in underneath. So the journey to becoming more familiar with yourself can sometimes feel like a heavy cloud over your body, or like a hard slog, or like you're climbing up the mountain with 50 kilos on your back. But it can also be light, and what's important is to laugh at yourself occasionally. Lighten yourself as you travel this road toward enlightenment. Let's perhaps try not to make everything so serious, especially time on the yoga mat. Let yourself have humor. Let yourself feel light. Play on your yoga mat. At the same time, honor those days where things just don't feel right. Honor the ups and downs. And give yourself patience, give yourself time, be kind to yourself. Let's take 5 deep breaths. Welcome yourself as you are here on your space today. Maybe invite a soft Ujjayi pranayam. Gentle, hearing the sound of your breath at the back of the throat. The sound doesn't have to be loud, it can be quite quiet. Maybe just you hear your own sound of your breath. And start to bring a little bit of movement through the neck and the shoulders. Just checking in. Start to bring that down into the arms, any kind of movement, and into the wrists. So we start to bring a bit of movement through the wrists. Can be quite fluid to begin with. Let it be your own dance, so it's internalized and expressed from the inside out. Just interlace the fingers and make little circles. One way, the other way. Or a little figure eight. Releasing the fingers and interlace them behind you. Lift through the breastbone as you inhale. And as you exhale, interlace the fingers in front of you and round through the back. Ground your hands to your thighs, inhale. And as you exhale, rounding down, draw the forehead toward your knees, so really hugging in. Then press through the front of the lower legs and roll yourself back up with your inhale. Lift through the breastbone a little. And as you exhale again, round in the back, hugging in. Forehead toward the knees. And then rolling back up with your inhale. And this time as we roll down, exhaling, ground your fingertips in front of the knees, lift your hips and bring your crown of your head toward the earth or on the earth and lift your hips. And then grounding your buttocks back to the heels as you roll up, inhaling. Interlace the fingers behind you, inhaling. Exhale, extend out and down. You can draw the arms over you. Forehead can come to the earth, and then with your inhale, lift your hips and again roll over the head if it's fine. And then coming to bring the buttocks back down. Lifting your chest and reaching your arms up by your ears. With your exhale, bring your hands to the earth. And we stay very hugged in. The hands come to the earth, the front of the feet are pressing down. Push into the hands and lift your knees off the ground and hug your knees toward your center and your forehead toward your knees. Push through the hands. And then come back down as you exhale. 2 more cycles. Push through the hands, lift up, press through the feet. Inhale, stay hugged in. Exhale, lower down. And again, inhale, hug in, lift up, and then roll over the toes one at a time. And we're in downward, and we're in Uttanasana, exhaling. Pause and breathe here in Uttanasana. It's a good time to take socks off if they're still on. In Uttanasana, you might like to rock a little side to side, or shake out the arms, nod your head a little. Breathe into the back of the legs. How are your hamstrings this morning? How are the calves? How are the ankles? Traveling back up the back of the legs. How's your lower back? And then wander your way all the way to the front of the yoga mat. In Uttanasana at the front of the yoga mat. Few easy rolls up and down. You might like to bring your feet hip width apart for a better balance. Bend the knees and roll up with your inhale. In one go, you arrive to Tadasana. And then as you exhale, draw the chin in, start to round the back, bend the knees, and fall back down as you exhale. The arms are like puppets, relaxed, hanging. Push through the feet and roll up, inhaling. It's really like you're unfolding yourself and then folding yourself in again, exhaling. And rolling up, inhaling. One more cycle. The knees are bent for 90% of the time. The knees are bent. And then as you come up the next time, we can reach our arms up toward the ceiling. Press through the feet, lift up, and dive into Uttanasana, exhaling. So in Uttanasana, it's very soft. We just hug the right heel toward the buttocks. You can be on the fingertips or have your hands on blocks. And then ground the right foot as you exhale and change sides, the left heel toward the buttocks. Hug the knee in toward your chest. So the knee is in toward the chest, not up toward the ceiling, but in toward your chest. Ground down, exhale. And again, the right knee hugs in toward your chest. The heel is toward the buttocks. That's it. Lower down, exhale. And then the left heel toward the buttocks. Ground down as you exhale. Bend the knees and roll back up to standing, inhaling. Reach your arms up. Exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana. So ground your hands by your feet, and as you step the right leg back, hug the right knee in first, and then step back into a lunge. Deep breath in lunge. Downward facing dog pose as you exhale. Take a few breaths here. Pulse the legs if you like. And then with your next inhale, pulse yourself forward through plank pose and choose your connecting vinyasa. Some of you might like a strong chaturanga dandasana, followed by an upward facing dog pose. Some of you may prefer cobra, and then we meet in downward facing dog pose, exhaling. We'll radiate the right leg toward the ceiling, inhaling. And then as you step the right foot forward, round the back and hug the right knee in toward your center first. Lift the left heel toward the ceiling and then place the foot between your hands. Deep breath in here in lunge. And as you exhale, step forward, Uttanasana. Roll to standing, inhaling. Reaching your arms up to the ceiling. Dive forward, Uttanasana, exhaling. The left knee will hug in toward your center and then step back behind you for a lunge. Inhale. Press through the hands, downward facing dog pose, exhale. Pulse yourself forward through plank pose, inhale. Option Chaturanga Dandasana, or ground the knees and then come to the earth for a cobra. Inhale. Pressing back, downward facing dog pose, exhale. We'll raise the left leg toward the ceiling, inhale. And again, round the back, really hug the left knee in, good. And then step the foot forward between your hands. In lunge, open up, expand. Uttanasana at the front of your mat, exhale. Roll to standing, inhale. Reach your arms up. Exhale, dive forward, Uttanasana. Hug the right knee in and then step the right leg back. This time high lunge now with your inhale, reaching up. And with your exhale, interlace your fingers behind you. Roll your heart to the ceiling and then dive forward. Exhale, the left crease of the shoulder rests on the left thigh. Look back to the right foot. And then return. Inhaling, you can reach your arms up. High lunge. Exhale, ground your hands to the earth, downward facing dog pose. Pose forward through plank pose, inhale, and take your connecting vinyasa. It can be a cat-cow if you prefer. We meet downward facing dog pose, exhaling. And we'll reach the right leg to the ceiling, inhaling. Hug the right knee in, round the back, really hug in and then place the foot between your hands, lengthen out, breathing in. Thank you, high lunge. And as you exhale, interlace the fingers behind you. Deep breath in, roll your heart to the ceiling. Exhale, dive forward. Let's return into a high lunge with your inhale. Reach your arms up and radiate through the arms into the fingers. And then ground your hands to the earth. Exhale. Step forward. Inhale. Uttanasana. Exhale. Roll to standing. Inhale. Reach your arms to the sky. Exhale. Dive forward. Uttanasana. Hug the left knee in and then step the left leg back into lunge. Deep breath in. High lunge. Interlace your fingers, roll your heart to the ceiling, and dive forward, exhale. Return, inhale through high lunge again. And with your exhale, grounding your hands to the earth, downward facing dog pose. Pulse forward, slow and steady inhale. Take your time as you exhale, strong center. Good, cobra or upward facing dog pose. Downward facing dog pose, exhale. Raise the left leg to the ceiling, inhale. Again, round the back, really hug in and then ground the foot between your hands. For a high lunge, inhale, reach up. Exhale, interlace. Take an extra breath, inhale, and dive forward, exhaling. Return, slow and steady, high lunge, inhale. Exhale, ground the hands to the earth. We'll step forward, inhaling for Uttanasana at the front of the mat, exhaling. Bend the knees, roll to standing, inhaling. Reach your arms up. Draw your hands down by your side, exhaling Tadasana. New cycle, inhale, bend the knees, reach your arms up by the ears. Exhale, dive forward, Uttanasana. Ardha Uttanasana, halfway up now. Inhale. Ground the hands to the earth. You could choose to step to plank or float back to Chaturanga Dandasana directly, bending the elbows. Cobra or upward facing dog pose, inhaling. Downward facing dog pose, exhaling. Let's raise the right leg to the ceiling, inhaling. Around the back, hug the right knee in and place the right foot between your hands for warrior one. We'll ground the back heel to the earth and then slowly rise, warrior one. Exhale, interlace your fingers behind you. Take an extra breath in, roll your heart to the ceiling. Diving forward, the option to rest the crease of the shoulder to the thigh or go deeper down and your head to the inside of that right foot. Then push into that right foot, steady center as you come back up into high lunge. Warrior one, better said, inhale. Exhale, ground your hands to the earth through plank pose, inhale. And a connecting vinyasa of your choice. In your back bend, shoulders down. Good, downward facing dog pose, exhale. We'll raise the left leg to the ceiling, inhale. Shift in, round the back first, then shift the left foot forward. Ground the back heel to the earth into warrior one. Exhale, interlace the fingers behind you. Take an extra breath, inhale. And then dive forward, either the crease of the left shoulder to the thigh or go deeper down and maybe rest your head toward the earth. And press into the left foot, come back up slowly, inhale through warrior one. Exhale your hands to the earth through plank pose, inhale. And a connecting vinyasa, slow and steady. Inhale. Downward facing dog pose, 5 breaths. If you need to, you can pause in child's pose. Press through the hands, the 4 corners of the palms of the hands. Spread through the fingers. Press in and radiate back to the sitting bones. Legs, heels parallel. Two more breaths. Inhale, raise your heels. Exhale, bend your knees. Look forward, step or jump. Ardha Uttanasana with your inhale. Uttanasana with your exhale. Utkatasana now with your inhale. Tadasana, exhale. Let's bring the feet a little wider apart with the toes turned slightly out. Inhale, reach your arms up toward the ceiling. Exhale, start to draw your hands down into prayer at your heart. Start to bend the knees. Nice and slow, we come to Malasana. If you need to, lift the heels off the ground and ground the fingertips. Inhale and exhale. Press the hands into each other. Press the arms and legs against each other. Lift through the chest as you sink down through the sitting bones. One more breath. Exhale, ground your buttocks to the earth. Balance just behind the sitting bones. Draw the legs together with the knees bent and the arms by your side, maybe palms facing up for a Navasana. Gaze toward the toes and breathe. Keep breathing. Hug in, exhale. Inhale. Exhale, we go again. Lift through the rib cage. Lift through the breastbone. Gaze to the toes. And I like the palms facing up. It sort of supports my upwards energy. Gives me a little emotional booster. Exhale, hug in. Inhale. Exhale. Last cycle, you might like to straighten the legs. If it's too much for you, bend the knees. We're balancing just behind the sitting bones rather than collapsing into the lower back. Some of you might like to reach the arms up by the ears. If your legs shake, mine are too, so we can be together. Exhale, hug in. Inhale. Exhale, start to roll down onto your backs. And bring the soles of your feet toward the ceiling, the legs apart for a Supta Malasana. Soles of the feet radiate toward the ceiling. Interlace your fingers behind your head. Draw the elbows wide. Good. Breathe in. And as you exhale, start to lift your head and your shoulder blades off the ground and gaze through your legs. Inhale, just halfway down. Exhale, lift back up again. Inhale, just halfway down. Exhale, lift back up again. Inhale. This time as you exhale, you might like to draw the buttocks and your forehead toward each other, hugging in more, maybe lifting the buttocks a bit off the ground. Inhale, halfway down. Exhale again, hug in, maybe draw the buttocks toward you, like the tailbone toward your forehead. Inhale, 2 more cycles. Exhale, hug in. Inhale. Exhale, last one. Hug, squeeze in. Inhale and exhale all the way down. You can hug your legs. Take deep breaths. And bring the soles of the feet to the earth together and the knees apart for Supta Baddha Konasana. You can bring the arms up by your ears and we take 5 deep breaths, creating space as a balance between all this rounding, all this hugging in, all this core work. 5 deep breaths. One more full deep breath. And then inhale, draw your knees together. Exhale, hug your knees in. Start to rock and roll yourself, getting some momentum to maybe come to Uttanasana at the front of the yoga mat. Rocking and rolling until you have that momentum to bring your weight forward onto your feet to the front of the yoga mat. Good. So here you might like to have 2 blocks and pressing your hands into the blocks. Important is that you can press your hands into the earth and lift the heels off the ground so that your arms are fully grounded on either the earth or the blocks and the arms are active. And you can have the feet quite close toward your hands, as close as is comfortable for you. We'll lift the heels toward the ceiling, push into the hands. Lift through the sitting bones. And then with your next inhale, hug your right heel toward your buttocks. Push into the hands and hug your right heel toward your buttocks. Keep your knee hugged in toward your center. So the left heel is lifted toward the ceiling. Lift the left heel up toward the ceiling like you want to come into handstand. Then ground the right foot to the earth. Lift the heels, hug the left knee in. The legs are parallel. Arms are straight, that's it. Arms are straight. Push in, lift through the sitting bones, hug in. And then lower down, exhale. And you can remove the blocks. Walk your feet back, perhaps another foot or two. And then ground your hands to the earth. Handstand hops. We lift the heels to the ceiling. You might find you can walk your feet in a little bit more. Look at the space between your hands. Push through the hands, straighten the arms, and with a little kick, lifting the hips above the shoulders. And you keep your knees together, hugged in. And you can practice a couple times. Maybe you find yourself being able to balance for a moment or two. But the knees stay bent, the legs stay parallel. I like to inhale as I lift up. Yeah, good. Patience with yourself. Don't exhaust yourself too much, maybe just one or two more. Good. And then come to Uttanasana at the front of the mat, exhaling. You can make a strong fist with your hands as you come into the forward bend. And then one more play. If you like, you can look a little here. Instead of hugging the right heel toward the buttocks, we'll actually lift the right knee toward the ceiling. The heel is still hugged toward the buttocks, but the knee is opened up. And here you can explore coming to the real tippy toes and maybe balancing, but you don't want to jump up. It's just a pressing through the hands and maybe trying to balance with just a little bit, yeah? And then you can try the second side. So you don't want to come all the way up and, mess that right leg. Keep the right leg straight. Just another little option. Gar nicht so leicht, ja? Push through the hands. Lift the left heel. As you raise the right knee, you want to lift the left heel. That's it. And explore maybe coming all the way to the tippy toes. And then maybe just a little hop, but eventually we won't want to hop at all. Whew. Good, and then try the other leg. Use your left knee also, really lift that up toward the ceiling. Use your leg, the weight of your leg, to lift you up as well. Just a little bit. And then ground the left foot, exhale to Uttanasana. Have a block handy. And we come down, with your legs together, we come down to sit on the heels. Some of you might find you can ground the heels with the hands forward and not fall back. If you fall back, take a block and place that in underneath the buttocks. If you're balancing, sometimes it needs just the hands in front of you as a counterweight, and maybe you have it then. The right arm comes around behind you, that will give you support here. And radiate the left arm to the ceiling. Deep breath in. And then bring the left arm to the outside of the right leg for a twist. Lift through the chest. And breathe. Legs together, feet together. Come back to center, exhale. Second side, left leg around, right arm up, and twist to the left. Press into the left fingertips to give you a little more height, a little more space. Legs together, feet together. Center back, exhale. A little challenging transition. Just ground your fingertips. Challenging if you're not on a block. Bring your toes back a little bit and then turn the toes out. Let's say 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock. And the heels together. For Bakasana, the hands will come to the earth. Spread the fingers. Round the back, lift the hips, but now the knees will open out to the sides instead of hugging in. First variation, we lean forward and bring the shins to the outer upper arms. Whoops. Yep. As a bridge. Shins to the outer upper arms, first variation. As you start to balance into the hands, squeeze the elbows toward each other. And that will give you a nice bridge of support. You can eventually then lift the toes off the ground and hug the heels in toward the buttocks. Good. And ground your toes as you exhale. You can come to Malasana if you like and make a strong fist with your hands. And then if you like a little bit of circling. Second variation of Bakasana, it has its own name, but I always just call this variation A and B. It makes it easier for me to remember the name. The heels come together again, the toes turn slightly out. Push through the hands, and instead of the shins and the outer upper arms connecting, the knees will come into the armpits. And it will depend on your body proportion and your flexibility as to whether or not that can happen. Also, it's a little more of a challenging variation. The arms are active, pressing in as you then draw the heels in. The elbows are slightly bent, at least for me. The knees are hugged into the armpits. And then the elbows energetically hug in toward each other. That will give you a base of support too. Lift up through the lower belly, lower abdominal muscles as you ground down through the hands. Good. And then as you exhale, ground the toes. We can come into Malasana again. Counter stretch the wrists a little. The class is a little slower than a level 2 sometimes, just because this is quite energizing. This is quite challenging, so I don't want to exhaust you. So we'll release the fingers and come into Uttanasana at the front of the mat. Feet together. We come into Utkatasana with our inhale. So bending the knees, draw the hips back, reach the arms up by the ears. Sink deep. 2 more breaths. Hands in prayer at your heart. We twist to the right. Exhale. So the left arm to the outside of the right leg. Legs are together, feet together, and the hips behind the heels. Lift through the breastbone as you draw the shoulders down. Keep anchoring the left arm to the outer right leg. And as you exhale, find your left foot, left leg, and step the left leg back behind you so we come into a lunge twist. That's it. From there, you could choose to go further, bringing the right arm around behind you and the left arm in underneath that right leg for bound variation. And we pause here. Lengthen through the right side of your body. Shoulders draw down. Heart is spacious. Look down to the mat, exhale, and bring your left hand to the inside of that right foot. Start to radiate the right arm to the ceiling as you eventually extend through that right leg. Your left hand could be on a block if you need to. The right hip draws back and your heart opens forward. So we twist towards me. Your legs are right. Again now. Lift the back heel off the ground. Lift the back heel. Again now. Yeah. And you can straighten that right leg if you want to. It's come into high lunge now with your next inhale. Bend the right knee, center your chest, high lunge, there you go. Open into warrior two with your exhale for 5 deep breaths. Some of you can have a wider stance, and then you can really challenge your right leg into a right angle. Shoulders soften down. The arms are radiating out from the shoulders, spread through the fingers. You can shift this foot. Sweep the left arm around behind you. Maybe anchor that left hand to the right thigh as you come into a side warrior with your inhale. If you can reach, you use that left hand strongly to press down through the thigh. So you support anchoring through the right sitting bone even as you come into your side bend. One more breath. Keep the left hand where it is. Bring the right forearm to the thigh for Utthita Parshva Konasana, first variation. Second variation, you can bring the right arm to the inside of that right leg. And the left arm will come in underneath that right leg to find the bound variation again. Heart rolls toward the ceiling. Shoulders draw down. The right sitting bone hugs in underneath your body and angles toward that left heel. Good. Exhale, release your hands to the earth and turn to the left for Prasarita Padottanasana. So the feet come parallel. You can take hold of your big toes with your peace fingers, so your 2 fingers and your thumb. And then roll your heart toward the ceiling, inhaling, extend through the arms, look forward. Then as you exhale, pull onto your toes as you roll down toward the earth, bringing the crown of the head toward the earth. So pull on the toes, but push down with the toes at the same time. And as the elbows bend, they radiate out to the sides. Good. Two more breaths. With your inhale, start to extend through the arms. Maybe look forward. And as you exhale, release the hands and turn to the front of the yoga mat for a low lunge. Ground the left knee, and we take a moment lifting the chest. You can have the hands to the thighs and just soften into the front of the left thigh. So all this rounding, all this hugging in. We take a little soft back bend here, and opening of the front thigh. As you're all looking forward, this is a good place for me to show you 2 options to finish our sequence, rather than trying to talk you through both options. So I'll show you option 1. We'll be twisting, and the back leg will lift off the ground. Option 1, from here, you come to Parivrita Utkatasana. And then you ground your hands, and we're more or less at the beginning of the cycle. Option 2, we're twisting, left leg is straight, but we go to an arm balance. The left hand comes to the earth, fingers face forward. Follow through with the right hand, shoulder width apart. Bend the elbows and hug the right elbow into the side of your body. And then maybe we're here in Ekapada Kundinyasana. And here, this is challenging. To Ekapada Bakasana. And then ground the feet, and then we're here. Okay? Choose your sweets for today. Right, so I'll walk you through the second variation. Those of you in the first, do you remember? You just step the left foot forward and you're in Parshva Utkatasana. So let's start here. Hands in prayer. Inhale. Start to lean forward and twist to the right. Exhale. Richtung uns. Genau. Good. Going further, straighten the left leg. So some of you from here will step the left foot forward and you're in a twist in Utkatasana. Some of you will go to the arm balance, the left fingertips to the earth, or the whole hand preferably. Hand faces forward. Lean out and ground the right hand too. You use your left arm as a bridge for that right leg. And the right elbow hugs into your side waist. That's it. Radiate that left leg back behind you and the right leg out to the side. Good. You need to bend the elbows and hug the right elbow into your side waist. That's it. Hug the elbow into your waist here. Lean a bit forward. Yeah. That's it. Good. Yeah. Stay like that. That's really good. That's a good beginning. It's a really good beginning. If you're still balancing, you'll want to bend the knees together for Parshva Bakasana. Slow and steady. Yes, and then come to the front of the mat, grounding the fingertips. We have a second leg, so we can play with the second side. So let's come to Uttanasana. Make a strong fist with your hands. Counter stretch the wrists a little bit. Have patience with your body. 98% about is practice, and something like 2% is technique. So practice. Let's bend the knees and roll to standing, inhaling. Tadasana, exhaling. Second side, so we're at the beginning of the wave. We'll come into Utkatasana. Inhale, hips back, radiate through the arms, and breathe. Sink a little deeper through your hips. Hands in prayer at your heart. Exhale, we twist to the left, nach links. The hips align behind the heels. So, genau. Yeah. Good. Bring your weight into the left foot, and as you exhale, we'll step the right leg back, so we're in a lunge twist. Anchor down, have a good support, and then the option to go further, left arm around behind you. Right arm under for the bound variation. Lengthen through the left side of your waist and the crown of the head draws toward the front of the yoga mat. Good. Start to look down to the earth, and the right hand comes to the inside of the left foot. If you like, have it on a block. Start to radiate the left arm to the ceiling as you extend through the left leg for a variation of revolved triangle or parivrita, trikonasana. Good, deep breath. Good. Inhale, high lunge. Bend the left knee, look down, come into high lunge. Just 2 breaths here. And then open into a warrior 2 with your next exhale. So maybe broaden your stance, turn the right toe slightly in. Turn your right foot a bit more inward. The right foot, the ganzen Fuß. Yeah, genau. Then you can anchor more into the heel and maybe have a bit more stability. Yeah. So let's bring the right arm around behind you. Maybe you can reach enough to anchor down through that left thigh, anchoring through the sitting bone as you then radiate the left arm over. So keep anchoring down as you extend over. Deep breaths. And as you exhale, bring the left forearm to the left thigh. Bend the knee, but just draw a bit more out. That's it. Left forearm to the left thigh. Option 1, stay there. Option 2, the left arm to the inside of the left leg for the bound variation. The right arm comes around. Once you find your fingers, you can press the outer left shoulder against the inner left leg. From there, roll your heart toward the ceiling and hug the left side of your buttocks in underneath your body. Good. Breathe. Two more breaths. Ground your hands to the inside of the left foot and turn to the left, exhale to the right, for Prasarita Padottanasana. Let's interlace the fingers behind us here. Extend through the arms, open through the heart, inhale, and with your exhale, we can dive forward, bringing the crown of the head toward the earth. Lift and spread the toes and actively anchor down through the root of the big toe, the root of the little toe, and the inner and outer heels. You can actually lift the toes off the ground for a moment and spread the toes. Really feel a nice lift through the inner arches of the feet. And then you can ground the toes again. One more breath. Inhale, come halfway up, bring your hands to your lower back. Exhale, ground your hands to the earth, walk to the front of the mat. Ground the right knee to the earth, we're in a low lunge. Hands can come to the thighs. And pause here, softening into the front of that right thigh. Resting the shoulders, resting the arms, the wrists. Hands in prayer at the heart. Draw the hips back a little bit first. And then lean forward and anchor that right arm to the outside of the left leg. Breathe in, and with your exhale, you can straighten that right leg. Option 1, the right foot will simply step to the left foot, and we arrive in Parivrita Utkatasana. Option 2, that right hand comes to the earth. Really anchor the right arm to the outside of the left leg first. You might need to step the right foot a bit closer. Then ground the left hand, shoulder width apart. And then slowly bend the elbows. As you lift the left foot off the earth, bring the left elbow toward the left side of your body. So you have a bridge of support. Then maybe you can extend the legs. Yes? Good. Once you do balance, explore staying balanced, bending both knees for Parivrita Bakasana. You have to go slowly because it's very easy to overbalance. Go again if you want to. We meet at the front of the mat with the knees bent in a kind of a squat. Take a few breaths, we pause still while some are still exploring. Gradually we sit down on our buttocks, take hold of our big toes with our 2 fingers and thumb. Just balance behind the sitting bones, breathe in. Breathe out first, lift the heels, you can keep the knees bent. Focus on lifting through the chest. Inhale, option without collapsing into the lower back. Maybe extend the legs. Lift through the heart, deep breaths. 2 more breaths. Exhale slowly for Baddha Konasana, the soles of the feet together. You can flare open the soles of the feet like a book, and then you're pressing more the outer edges of your feet against each other. Press against each other and feel the opening through the hip joints. It's quite active. The knees draw down, the chest lifts, shoulders draw down, the arms are quite active here. You'll feel quite active through the lower back, middle back too. Deep breath, 3 more breaths. And as you next exhale, option to lean forward, and maybe you can bring the lower arms to the lower legs and press sort of down and out. It's a gentle kind of radiating from your center out. Inhale, slowly lift up. Exhale, your hands in underneath your knees, draw the knees together. Maybe zigzag yourself or come to Upavishta Konasana. It would be great if you sit on the edge of a blanket like you're almost falling off the blanket. That will give you a little more support through the pelvis. Feel free to keep the knees a little bent if that gives you a more support and more lift through the lower back. The toes open up toward the ceiling. You could stay upright or you could dive into a forward bend as you exhale. And each inhale, the chance to create space through belly, ribs, chest. Each exhale, soften in. Have patience. Breathe. You're not too tight for this pose. You're not too old for this pose. Your body is perfect. Breathe. Deepen your exhale. Take a moment to soften the mouth and jaw. That will encourage your body to soften, the hips to soften. Maybe you fold a little deeper forward. Draw your toes, your legs parallel up to the ceiling. And as you come forward, maybe the feet fold forward but not backward. Yeah. Okay, now. 3 more deep breaths. Inhale, slowly walk your hands back toward your center. Bring your hands behind you, bend the knees, draw the legs together. Option 1, Ardha Gomukhasana, the left leg is forward, the right leg is over. Option 2, full variation, the left leg comes under first, bringing the foot near the right hip. And then the right leg over. The sitting bones are grounded. If you're a little imbalanced, then take a blanket and sit completely on the blanket. So the knees are stacked. If you look, the right knee is on top of the left knee, more or less. And we'll take the full variation. Once you're comfortable in your seat, you can raise the arms and bend the left elbow, holding on. Option stay there, or go further, the right arm out and down with the thumb pointing down. And then bend the elbow and find your t-shirt or your fingers. Deep breaths, 5. Deep breaths. Maybe closing your eyes, center your head so it's balanced between the ears. Inhale and slowly exhale, release the arms. Let's bring the right leg around behind us and take a moment in a back bend, pigeon pose, just to open up to the front of that right thigh. Just 3 or 4 breaths here. You can keep the fingertips grounded. And then a simple transition, lean into the left hip, bring the right leg around. Ground both feet and we're ready for the second side. The right leg under, or keep the right leg straight. And the left leg draws over. Again, we're stacking the knees, more or less. Sit completely on a blanket if you need to. And once you're stable through your seat, going to raise the arms and bend the right elbow. And then the left arm out to the side with the thumbs pointing down. Bend the elbow and either find your t-shirt or your fingers. And draw that right arm back toward the ear. Center your head between the shoulders. And take sweet, deep breaths. Two more breaths. And with your next exhale, slowly releasing. When you're ready, the left leg will come around and you take a few breaths here, opening through the front of the left thigh, taking a bit of a back bend. And leaning into the right hip, draw the left knee forward. 2 blocks for the next pose. If you don't have blocks, for example, or you don't like to use blocks, what you can do is fold a blanket a couple times so it's a bit thick and solid base, and we'll be placing our sacrum on the blocks. Option 1 on the lowest orientation, one on top of the other, and the sacrum goes across here. So across here. Or option 2, you have 2 blocks, and it will go to the sacrum. And 2 blocks supports more across to the sacroiliac joint. It's more supportive than just 1 block. So 2 blocks. The highest point, this second variation is stronger back bend. So if I show you from laying down, actually Daniela is showing us. That's great. And she uses her hands to really align the blocks together because that's your base of support. And then once she has it supported in underneath the sacrum, she could interlace her fingers around behind the blocks and draw the shoulders under. So you'll want to use blocks or something because we're staying here for several minutes. The feet are hip width apart and the legs are parallel. Soft lift through the rib cage. Let it be restful. Es wird anstrengend nach 4 Minuten. Nicht? If you feel safe, you can even close your eyes here. The blocks should feel very supportive. If they're pressing into your lower back, it's not so fine. Sometimes it takes a few goes to really get it in a really good position. So the hips will stay on the blocks, and we lift actively through the lower back and hug the knees in toward your center. The legs are straight. Keep lifting through the lower back so the blocks don't fall as you slowly extend the legs toward the ceiling for a supported shoulder stand. You need to really lift through the lower back so you don't push the blocks. Come down anyway, your blocks are turned the wrong way. Bring the blocks away. I think you had them like that. You want to have them like that. And then use your hands to put them underneath. Yeah. And set them up well. Yeah. Yeah, that works better. Lift through the lower back. Now keep your hips on the blocks if you can. Es ist gar nicht so leicht, yeah. Hold the blocks with your hands. Yeah. Arch through the spine. Yeah, arch. Genau. Yeah, keep arching. It's actually quite strong for the chest. Good. If your lower back gets achy here, you can bend the knees. 3 more breaths. My theme for the class was upside down, so we've been doing a bit of upside downs today. And if you start to bend your knees toward your chest and then ground 1 foot at a time back into bridge pose, take 3 breaths in bridge pose. And then press into your feet and raise your hips as you inhale. You can remove the blocks and slowly lower down with your exhale. Just simply pause on your back for a moment without hugging your knees in. half shoulder stand with support is not essential to counter stretch the neck, but I really like to do it anyway. Even after bridge pose, half shoulder stand, I really enjoy doing that. So option 1, you could straighten your legs and roll over to your belly, facing the back of the mat, coming into Sphinx. So you're on the forearms, and then you can move your head a little bit. It's option 1. Option 2, you could come into an Urdhva Dhanurasana. Urdhva Dhanurasana is a stronger back bend. The setup is like bridge pose with the feet on the ground, heels underneath the knees. The hands come in underneath or just above the shoulders. Elbows draw toward each other, and you first lift the hips and then maybe come to the crown of the head first and then extend through the arms. And then once you come into Urdhva Dhanurasana, your neck is free, so you can counter stretch it. You can look a little up, you can look down, you could look a little left or right. Yeah, again, now super. Nice and slow, so you feel some ease in the neck. Stay as long as you like. And when you come down, look up toward the ceiling first, then start to bend the elbows, coming to the back of the shoulders, and then slowly lowering the rest of your way. And you might like to wind up your practice with a little twist or hugging your knees in. Maybe take a few moments for yourself. If you twist, then twist in both sides for 3 to 5 breaths, or a dynamic twist, for example. And gradually hugging your knees in toward the chest, and then eventually coming into Shavasana. So nice. I've got 3 baby yoga mummies in the room today. So nice. So cool. Ich habe deinen Namen vergessen. Jenny, ja. Ich habe mir überlegt, die ganze Stunde. So settling into Shavasana. Take a full deep breath in. And a full deep breath out. Take a deep, full breath in. And a deep, full breath out. Another deep, full breath in. A deep, full breath out. Start to bend your knees and roll over to one side, hugging in. And slowly finding your way back to sitting. So I wish you a beautiful weekend. Get lots of sun on your face and warmth into your body, and radiate that warmth into your environment, into everyone around you. Namaste. Good. So a lot of balancing, a lot of upside down in. I'll be curious how your body feels tomorrow. If you feel your wrists, do a little bit of wrist work. A dog pose is fantastic. Maybe a pigeon pose, maybe a few Sonnengrüße perhaps, maybe a Supta Baddha Konasana. Doesn't need to take long, but just a few things to feel alive in your body, not, oh my God, and then projecting it onto Kira. It's Kira's fault. I often love the feeling after a yoga class. The next day is, oh, I've done something. Yes! So have a beautiful week and bis zum nächsten Mal. Dankeschön, danke Daniela. Danke online. It worked! Yes! I'm so happy. All systems go. Danke Tina. Danke. Danke Katrina. Dankeschön. See you next time. Bye.